Welcome to the big picture.
Happy Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. It's a rainy Tuesday. My mic's moving away from me. Stay put, little thing. There we go.
Yeah, it is a rainy Tuesday.
And the rain woke you up, right?
It did. Because it got
me.
like windy last night. Yeah, you could sleep through a bomb. Like,
I guess.
Yeah, because nothing wakes you up.
Nothing.
Every time it hails or something, you're just like, nope, didn't hear any of it. Crazy.
I walked outside and I was like, I pulled my car to the garage. I go, oh, it's raining.
Yeah. Yeah,
Too funny.
It definitely really got with it last night. And
it was beautiful yesterday, though. I was sitting out on my porch.
Same.
Becoming a porch rat, you know?
Yeah, I enjoy it. I walked to the gym, walked back, sat out back, and then all of the pollen and stuff. I have never dealt with allergies until like recently. And now I was like, why are my eyes all like dry and scratchy and congested like this? And it's like, oh no.
I wonder, have you ever been to an allergist?
No.
Me either.
No.
I don't have time for that.
Right.
To get all those like shots in your back. That
right.
just sounds scary to me.
Pop a Sudafed, a Benadryl,
absolutely.
off we go.
Absolutely.
Off to the races.
No, my allergies have been really bad this year too. It's like, it's the nose, just like the congestion.
And I know we've talked about that a lot on different newscasts about how they're already
like
kind of rough this
count.
year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything's in bloom right now.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful.
Love
Don't
it.
get me wrong. It's
we
lovely.
love it.
But yeah.
Okay. Well,
a lot to get to today. Actually, pretty jam-packed.
There is a lot. Yeah. I felt like there wasn't a lot of breaking news this morning, but there's big stories happening.
A lot of
today.
changes and big stories.
Yeah. And first, we're continuing to follow the Jason Meade trial. Testimony's continuing today. That tends to get started a little later.
Right. They're supposed to start at 9, but it typically gets underway about 9:40.
I can see their, let's take a peek right here.
Do they have the, well, that's
This
new.
is a different courtroom. Never mind. I'm not going to pull that up. Different court case happening. Yeah, but I can see they're not showing anything yet on server 32. So we will keep monitoring that as well.
Yeah, I don't have anything from Lisa yet. So
no,
we're just hanging out.
Do we want to recap a little bit about day 4?
Okay. So So today is day 4. Yesterday on day 3, the big witness in this was Chris Korn, and he at the time was an HVAC heating and air technician for Franklin Heating and Cooling here in Columbus. And his significance in this is that in some surveillance video, his van is behind the unmarked truck that former Franklin County Sheriff's Deputy Jason Meade was driving at that intersection. And on the other side of that intersection, so basically oncoming to them was the vehicle that Casey Goodson Jr. was driving. And in this, former Deputy Meade said he saw Casey Goodson Jr. wave a gun at him. Chris Korn, even in the last trial, said he never saw a gun. And this is what he said yesterday about this, and also some of the what he could see in Goodson's car.
And he come around the corner and looked like he was dancing, driving a little crazy, and just getting, bebopping around in his car. Okay. So it had my attention.
And he's referring to Meade?
So no, he's referring to Casey Goodson Jr.
Okay.
So he's referring to what he saw out of Goodson's car. Now, there were a few things that happened with this. Is that yesterday we saw the jury get taken out of the courtroom a couple times, and this is because Korn's testimony at times conflicted with some of the things that he had said in the past, and that prompted the judge to dismiss the jury for or excuse them for a bit, so that we could play back the audio of Korn's initial interviews. Now, there was also a big question there because Korn has reached out to Tamala Payne, who is Casey Goodson Jr.'s mother. They've exchanged a few messages online back and forth. So that was a point of interest yesterday. But so that was really the main witness we saw. So also...
Yeah, and then there was conflicting information that Korn was saying while he was testifying. He has testified before in the first trial. Right. So that's, why they had to take a break and replay
in that
some
first
of that.
trial, he was really a surprise witness. We had no idea that they would pull Chris Korn in, and really was just like this, this person, like we had no idea this was going to be a fact of the matter. And then we see him here as really the first person past the family to testify in this case. So we've already had 2 days of testimony. So Monday, did this start? Yeah, no, wait, 2 days. So Friday and yesterday were the 2 days of testimony. Nothing's going on. That's a live picture from inside the courtroom. So how media coverage in Franklin County courtrooms work is basically as long as when we're not on the record, you really can't feed anything back.
No.
We have to just focus that camera up on the seal on the wall.
There it is.
And so
In all her glory.
this is just us waiting.
So when I see that sign go away, that's when I know to take my shot.
Right.
So.
It's better than the color bars we had last week. So this gives us at least an idea of what's going on.
Absolutely better than the color bars.
And so, like, on this laptop, I've got Lacey in front of me.
Yeah.
Well, or at least her, like,
Does she
messages.
have an idea? Has she said who she thinks is going to testify today? Yeah, that'll be really interesting
So I'll drop
to
that
hear.
in when I hear, but there's nothing in that feed that's popped up yet. So the other big thing that
Larry Householder.
is today a big, well, I guess it is a big change. Kind of. It's the end
case
of the
that keeps on
road.
giving.
It is. It really is. The gift that keeps on giving is the House Bill 6 scandal. And this is really the end of the road for the legal process that Larry Householder has to try and get his conviction overturned. Basically, the U.S. Supreme Court said that, no, you're done. Your racketeering charges and convictions are staying. Because Larry Householder, what was it, 2024, that he was sentenced to 20 years, 2023, March 2023.
Yes, 2023.
Was sentenced to 20 years for his role in this House Bill 6 scandal. And basically him and former lobbyist Matt Borges took like $60 million as part of this House Bill 6 scandal.
Yeah. It's been a really big deal. If you've been working in Ohio, you've been covering it, basically. But this was a big step in it. So, yeah, it was in 2018, the Ohio House passed the
House Bill
bailout,
6, yes.
right, for $1.3 billion. I mean, this case is so much money has surrounded it.
Right. And so this $1.3 billion was to bail out 4 power plants operated by Akron-based First Energy. And 2 of these were for their nuclear plants and then 2 coal plants, one of which was in Indiana. So this is a lot of money that we're talking. And basically this $60 million was to help get Householder into the speakership in the House, then back HB 6, and then also fight the ballot initiative that was proposed to stop HB 6, because this was already considered shady at the time of like, why are we doing this? So there was a ballot initiative that got thrown out to overturn it. Yeah, so there's that. Borges is only serving 5 years for his efforts to undermine this whole repeal effort. He was the former chair of the Ohio Republican Party. He's currently in a halfway house somewhere in the Cincinnati area, and he actually should be out November.
Oh,
so yeah,
okay, time
that's
has
all
passed.
according to this. Now, so the big thing, so the next step really, like as we said, is that Larry Householder is out of options. This has made it all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court says no. This decision by a 3-judge panel down at the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Cincinnati last May, it stands. Like, nope, we're done.
Yeah.
Bop. So his only option left right now is basically bypassing the justice system. And his attorney says, our next focus is going to the president on this. He is going to ask the Trump administration for a pardon. And they feel, there's maybe the possibility of that because we've saw some former Cincinnati councilman received a pardon from the president. So
George Santos, the list goes on.
Right. So there's been a lot of pardons issued by the Trump administration, and Larry Householder's attorney believes that maybe they've got a shot at this. A.G. Yost is also chiming in about this.
Yeah.
So saying that, even if he gets a presidential pardon, that would be for the federal conviction. The state is also still pursuing charges in a state indictment under that. So that would not affect this. So let's kind of dive into that HB 6 scandal. For a lot of, I think if you've lived in Ohio, you kind of know about it, but the web is so deep.
It really, how many years?
Right. This started in 2018. And so as we talked, it goes to bail out 4 of these. We started really seeing this surface in about 2021. And that's when First Energy first admitted that it bribed Larry Householder and also the former chair of the Public Utilities Commission, Sam Randazzo, worth about $60 million. Sam Randazzo is dead. He committed suicide. So anyway, after that came to light, the company was fined and agreed to pay $230 million out of this. Now, here is also some of the, quirkiness of this is that while the governor Governor DeWine and former Lieutenant Governor, now Senator John Husted, aren't charged with anything with this House Bill 6 scandal. There are a lot of ties with the administration and what exactly happened.
I mean, they were in charge when this was all happening.
Right. Now, DeWine has denied any wrongdoing of this.
Absolutely.
Because we saw some texts pop up in 2024 that were his communications with First Energy that were basically asking for campaign donations for his 2018 election. So after he contacted First Energy, suddenly $500,000 was given to State Solution, which is a dark money group that typically funds money into the Republican Governors Association. So anyway, DeWine has said, I'm not involved. He, quote, said, if that call was made, I have no doubt and I have no doubt it was made. I don't remember it, but I was making a ton of calls every single day.
Yeah, and HB6 is the largest scandal in Ohio, the state.
Right, and in terms of energy scandals, I believe it's the largest in the nation. So, I mean, this just keeps coming.
Right,
and really, we're at the end of the road for Larry Householder in terms of his options, unless this presidential pardon is
the last option, in my opinion, for him. Like, that is it.
Yeah, but the state's still planning to go after him. AG Yost has made that very clear that this isn't over from the state side of things.
Well, President Trump, if you want to comment on that, let us know. Okay, let's switch gears. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so Ted Carter, another case that is the gift that keeps on giving. We have new documents that we requested and received about where we kind of see more into his relationship with the podcast host that started all of this.
Chrysanthi Vlachos.
Yeah, so they had 24 of meetings and multiple trips that Carter classified as work-related, which, you know.
Were they? And
were they?
All of this new information is really coming from the personnel file that 10 TV has obtained from Chris Kuburik, which was Carter's senior advisor. Now, we know that Kuburik has already stepped down. He was the second, Carter left and then Kuburik left.
Well, and now he has a new job. He's the vice president and the CFO of University of West Virginia.
Right. So he's already
moved on.
Gone.
And that was really quick, in my opinion. But
yeah, so I mean, it's interesting because as his senior advisor, there's a lot of things that pop up on the calendar, in emails, text messages, all of that with Carter, and obviously this stuff got thrown around a lot, and she had, and it was in this 40, this is outside of that 47-page document that we talked about last week that came out from the university, but Chrysanthi Vlachos had extraordinary access to President Ted Carter Jr. and really university staff. I mean, Carter had invited Vlachos to attend stakeholder meetings with organizations and agencies like Jobs Ohio, which we know gave her $60,000 to produce 4 episodes, I think 2 of which only were ever produced. Anyway, the Department of Veterans Services, also some private companies involved. We know Anduril is deeply tied in with the university, or the Ohio State University. She was invited on those meetings. Right. Also with Google. Now, we do know that a lot of these people chose not to engage with her. But, this was, for somebody in the private sector to have this much access in the public sector is incredibly uncommon.
Really. And, and now even the University of Nebraska is investigating Carter's past.
Right, because
that's where he came from.
Right, and we learned in that document that was dropped last week that this relationship first started when he was at the University of Nebraska system, which is, it's not as large as the Ohio State University, but it is still a significant university. So these connections that Carter gave Vlachos led her to unsuccessfully ask for millions of dollars to develop an app that she wanted to create. It was kind of an extension of the arm that she was trying with this podcast to connect veterans with jobs. Utility jobs using AI. That app never got underway. So,
Jobs Ohio wants their money back.
And Jobs Ohio
they're asking for $60,000 back. And and we've heard crickets from Vlachos.
Right. And we know that some of the, the access that she had were the WOSU studios and staff there to help produce this. But, we're talking $60,000 from Jobs Ohio for 4 episodes, $15,000. I can promise you, it does not cost us $15,000 to put this on every day.
No. It does not. Could you imagine what we would do with $15,000 per episode? We'd be doing these podcasts from Mexico or Puerto Rico. We'd like
take it on the road.
Take it on the road.
You know, so I mean, I don't know.
Seriously.
I'm very curious what the idea was. To use that kind of budget in that time. Maybe, I mean, depending on the production value that she was trying to use and the amount of staff that she was trying to use at WOSU, maybe it was coming close. I don't know. But anyway, Jobs Ohio wants their money back. And that is something that is kind of the next step in all of this. Obviously, we've got the investigation into Carter from both the Ohio State University and the University of Nebraska.
Right.
I'm interested to see what comes out of the University of Nebraska one, as we've mentioned that he and Velazquez connected back then.
Right. Just how far back this goes in the AG's office. They're also looking at this, the Ethics Commission as well, Carter's behavior. So we should, I mean, again, like I said, the situation that keeps on giving, like we will learn so much more in the coming weeks for sure. And again, what is an inappropriate relationship? You know, it's kind of a broad term.
Right.
So we'll keep following that.
Yeah. Coming up next,
of course.
Jay Fox from the Ohio News Network's in some big announcements in terms of development projects, meaning jobs in the state of Ohio. Welcome back to The Big Picture on your Tuesday. Ohio News Network's Jay Fox, and we are talking some big jobs, really, announcements from the governor's office.
Wait, can I pause really quick?
Yes.
We have matching glasses.
We do.
You guys do.
I didn't even notice that.
Look into the camera. Okay.
So Collin needs to be inducted into the Red Glasses Club.
Yes, he's a clear glass frame.
Glasses frame, more of like a tortoise shell.
Tortoise shell?
Yeah.
Okay. Love it. Okay. Back to the development. Sorry.
Yes. So your question was, I was distracted by your glasses.
By the glasses. So, big announcement. We're talking $83.5 million in new annual payroll out of these announced projects. So I guess, you know, how many projects are there? What are they?
7.
7
new projects.
7 new projects. And we've talked about a lot of these on this show. The first one to talk about is our friends Vertiv in Ironton in Lawrence County. That's the biggie. 500 new jobs, $26 million in payroll. Now, do you guys remember what they do?
No. Oh, wait.
Yes, you do.
Wait, I think I know this.
We're talking Vertiv, right?
Yes.
They're
I'll give you a hint. I don't
wait.
need to wear my jacket because something will
warm you.
Cool me.
Wait, do they design the coolers that keep medicine really cold?
They are the power management and
Is that a good way
cooling
to describe
system
it? That was
for
a great way
data
for me to
centers
describe it.
people.
That's it. I was like, I know it's something.
Okay.
They're the data center
Electronic-y.
cooling people.
Well, remember
Yes.
Angela? Okay, there's a lot of development happening here.
There
It's hard to
is,
keep
and
up.
Angela Ann knows all of it.
Yeah, she does.
Should be here
APAR
Friday.
in Frazeysburg, which is my favorite name of any city in the entire state, in Muskingum County, 290 jobs. You guys know who these people are?
Hold on. APAR.
I didn't know this turned into a test. Jay.
They're
Anyway.
the electrical conductors, cable solutions, and industrial lubricants people. All of this is a recurring theme. Then you've got East Trailers in Portage County. How do we
and
get
gonna
them
guess.
there?
I'm gonna guess what they make.
Yes.
Trailers.
They do. Collin for the win. Applied Metal Technologies in Cuyahoga and Medina counties with 132 new jobs, 152, I apologize, 11 million in payroll. Then Resident Services in Greene County. Those are the people, that's that whole new production facility for military aircraft parts and supplies. Kind of goes hand in hand with what's going on with Anduril and what is already happening at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And then for those of us that like ice cream and baked goods,
I will never turn down ice cream.
the DuPont people in Franklin County, 60 new jobs and $3 million in payroll. And last but not least, also in Franklin County, our friends at Cooper Run Capital, 30 new jobs, $6 million in payroll as they expand to address a growing need for mergers and acquisitions.
So, if you're keeping a tally, that totals up to 1,328 new
Yeah,
jobs.
I
in the
really
state of
feel
Ohio.
Governor DeWine, he wants his legacy to be industry.
'Cause
And
this
bringing
is his last-
industry- This is it.
his term.
His term's
He
up
is
in
term
December.
limited.
But I feel like he's just really hit
Well,
home on
and
bringing industry
no
to
pun
Ohio.
intended, he's gotten the job done in that regard. He really has.
So that's good news for Ohio.
It
Jobs
is.
are always positive.
But, as we talk about jobs and manufacturing, because Ohio has a long history of manufacturing, let's go down to Middletown.
This story's going to put a bitter taste in your mouth.
The home of J.D. Vance.
Literally.
It
I've been
literally
down
will.
there.
Because we're talking about arsenic.
We are. And it's not just arsenic, it's arsenic and lead in the soil of residential yards adjacent to the Cleveland Cliffs Middletown Works steel mill.
Yikes.
Do you guys know what happens when a large industrial concern has an issue like this? What might be the next steps?
The remediation takes years.
I mean,
Yes.
are people reporting health problems?
Well, they're alleging health problems. So allege then becomes an investigation. Then an investigation then builds into perhaps a class action lawsuit. And we have seen this time and time again, going all the way back to Silkwood, the movie, which portrayed the nuclear disaster back in the 70s. So the issue is findings in Middletown intensified long-standing community concerns regarding health risks from chronic exposure.
To soil and dust?
Yes. Now
right?
ask me who Scooby-Doo and the gang are. This would be Bob Hyland and the students from the University of Cincinnati, their School of Environment and Sustainability. They conducted soil and water testing, and they described the resulting arsenic concentrations as, quote, alarming and deeply concerning for long-term health.
Right. And with that being said, now we've got private citizens involved.
We do.
And they're worried about their health.
So local activist Donna Ballinger is campaigning for better air quality. She's been at it for nearly a decade. She actually provided soil samples from her own yard that tested positive, and other residents are now reporting physical residue on their home and vehicles.
And
This is just bringing me back to East Palestine when the
That's right.
Doesn't it sound really familiar?
I was I covered that extensively when I was reporting in Cleveland, and I was out there with these homeowners testing their soil, and it was you have to get the EPA involved immediately. Right, absolutely. What are they saying?
Well, the company says, "Oh, we're compliant."
Right, because
I know,
the company
I
is going
shouldn't
to
be so glib about
but
it,
the company will shirk blame in some way or another.
Yes, they said that we are within the standard.
Has the EPA given any response?
No, they're not talking, which is a point of curiosity because that suggests that further investigation is going on. Now, the bigger question is, what is the long-term result of exposure to arsenic and lead?
Well, we've seen the Cary Grant movie.
We have. So, cancer, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, neurological disorders, among other issues. If two people have the same experience, guess what that becomes? A class action lawsuit.
Full circle.
Not good news.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't really have a lot of time to talk about Strongsville today.
It's just a mess.
I know.
In a very short amount of time, we can say that there was a relationship between the suspect and the victim that has not been defined yet. There is an allegation that the suspect acted in self-defense, but all of the records and all of the police reports and all of the video documentation shows that even after Randy Corrigan, who is the deceased, was on the ground, there were 13 shell casings. He just kept shooting him.
Yeah, and just take us to the beginning of that, really quick.
So the shooting took place outside of Costco in Strongsville, Ohio, and allegedly Corrigan, who worked for Costco, saw this guy coming in and he saw a weapon. And he called to the guy to drop that weapon, and he didn't, and that's when he pulled out a pocket knife. Now, I'm sorry, if you come at me with a pocket knife, I don't think the response is justified
Well,
with a
what's
gun.
he saying?
He's saying he was the victim, that Corrigan was on the attack.
Well, the saying is you can't bring a knife to a gunfight.
Well, yes,
Right.
that is true, and that's what Corrigan did.
Right. And my mother-in-law was there. She gave me a
Was
call.
she in the store?
She was at the gas station.
Oh.
And she saw all this hoopla going on, and she was like, I don't know if I should go in there. And then lo and behold, that was the situation that was unfolding.
Yeah,
she just
I-
happened to get gas before instead of going
I have
in.
a
It's just scary.
feeling that it's going to be another 2 weeks before we know the full story.
Yeah.
Why would a truck driver from Fort Worth, Texas, suddenly walk into a Costco brandishing a weapon if he didn't have intent to do something?
Right.
And we don't know.
We'll learn. Okay, Jay Fox with the Ohio News Network, thank you so much for coming on today.
Always a pleasure
We're going
to
to take a
both of
quick
you.
break, but coming up, we are talking about a new tornado siren
for
that's
Jerome
been
Township.
approved for Jerome Township. We have Brandon Stanley joining us in the next 2 minutes, so we'll be right back.
Welcome back to The Big Picture on your Tuesday.
Yes.
So, as you know, a lot of you probably paid attention to last night. It got pretty wet, but thankfully we were spared the severe weather that, for example, southeast Missouri, southern Illinois got last night, and that we've seen tear across Texas, Oklahoma, Iowa.
This is kind of severe weather season.
It is.
And in light of all of that, we have learned that Jerome Township, for their Glacier Ridge area, they have just approved a $41,000 tornado siren.
Yes.
And joining us right now, we have Brandon Stanley with Jerome Township talking about this and kind of the need. We have this, we do this thing every Friday, segment called Boomtown, talking about Ohio's rapid growth. That really was the reason for the approval of this tornado siren. Can you explain to us how we got to this point?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. So Jerome Township Fire Department went to work with the Union County Emergency Management Association or agency last year, and they did a study of really everywhere in Union County where tornado sirens could impact the general safety of our community here. So we saw a report back with a map that included some areas that were more populated than others. We're still rural, semi-rural here. So we do have some areas that are growing in population, to your point. And so we added 2 brand new ones last year. And our goal is to keep studying, getting more familiar with where these population cells are focused. And in this one, the first one that we're approving this year is this Glacier Ridge, Glacier Point, and that's where this next one will go.
And $41,000, that's a lot of money. What is the process like installing these, and when should it be up and running?
Yeah, so there's a couple different varieties of tornado sirens that I'm aware of. The last 2 we purchased were solar powered, actually. So they have batteries that are charged by sunlight, and that's how they function. And then, this next one will be the same style. It'll be solar. And so those are manufactured. They're a little bit more expensive, but not by much than the normal type that is powered by electric. And so out here in some of the areas that we may foresee to put other tornado sirens, quite simply, we'd spend a lot more money just trying to get electric there. So we're going solar, and the cost is the cost, and it's probably going to continue to go up like many, many other things that are being manufactured in the country.
Yeah, and how soon do you expect this newest siren, once approved, or now that it's been approved, to be put in operation?
Yeah, we're still looking probably at 2 to 3 months just to get notified that it's ready to be installed, and then the installation process is done by a different type of worker staff for the company. They send them here, and pretty much it's done within just a few hours of their arrival.
We always talk about how fast Jerome Township is growing, but can you put it into perspective for us, actually how rapid it is growing population-wise?
Well, it's still hard to estimate at times because there is a lot of interest in this Central Ohio region, Union County, Delaware County. As we all know, we're very blessed, I guess, with growth, and so we have seen an uptick with housing and interest in this area. I don't see that changing anytime soon. We estimate our population's probably around 12,500 right now. And so, there's different projections that are out there that say that we might hit 15,000 within the next 3 to 5 years. It's a hot area of Ohio. And with that comes, the strain of safety, the strain of infrastructure. And we worry about those things all the time, and we're doing the best we can to plan it out.
All right, Brandon Stanley with Jerome Township, thank you so much for joining us today, and looking forward to that being installed within the next 2 to 3 months. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your Tuesday.
Thanks for having me.
All righty.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to tap into the Meade trial that's happening right now, the retrial. This is testimony that you can hear. And we are hearing this is...
This should be Minerva Park officer Seth Penny. So they just went on the record here about 5 minutes ago. So this is still pretty early in day 4 of testimony there.
Yeah, so do we want to listen in really quick, or do we want to...
We'll give it about 30 seconds,
officer.
then we'll go. Yeah.
What do you do as a patrol officer?
Anything from responding to calls for service from citizens to addressing traffic complaints, conducting patrol.
Okay. And on December 4th of 2020, were you working patrol?
Was.
Okay. And were you in your cruiser, marked cruiser?
Yes.
And uniform?
Yes.
Did you receive any radio traffic that day that required you to respond somewhere?
Yes, I did.
And do you remember what was that radio traffic? What did it indicate?
I don't remember exactly the words, but on our dispatch it said that there was a officer in trouble. I believe there was a shooting mentioned, officer-involved shooting mentioned.
Okay. And upon hearing that...
So this is testimony from Minerva Park officer Seth Penny in day 4 of the trial of former Franklin County Deputy Jason Mead. Of course, we'll keep on top of this throughout the rest of the half hour, but right now we got to take a break. Kevin Landers joins us next. Kevin Landers joins us on this Tuesday morning. Kevin, this is a spectacular story. I mean, it's one highlights the amazing progress we've made in medicine. What are we looking at?
So it's a story about determination. It's a story about perseverance. It's a story, I think, also about a father's tremendous love for his children, right? Our children are everything to us. And when you're put in a circumstance like this person was, that's the only thing really he was thinking about is, am I going to never be a father again? My life is slipping away from me. Am I ever going to see my children grow up? And that determination, that love for his children, and just the amazing work that the surgeon did for him. And not only that, the first responders who were there at the scene as it was happening, all of that together saved this man's life. He needed all those pieces to come together in order for him to save his life. And we were lucky enough to tell his story. And I think it shows for people that even in your darkest moments, don't give up hope. And that's really what the story is about. And I've done a lot of stories where I've been, blown away by amazing people. This is one that's clearly up there.
I mean, when you told me about it the other week, my jaw dropped to the floor.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. Do we want to play it?
Let's play it.
Are you famous? Oh, about to be.
32-year-old Philip Poley wasn't supposed to walk.
I believe God, he had his hands on me.
His doctors say people who suffer an injury like his
I have no broken bones, and that sucker hit me hard.
are usually paralyzed or die.
After the initial hit, I was just like kind of stunned, like, did that just happen?
Hocking County 911 Sheriff's Office.
Poley wasn't hit by a car.
We just had a maintenance worker there at the park get hit by a tree as it was falling. He's unconscious.
I started pushing this large tree off the road.
Body-worn camera from a state natural resource officer shows the Hocking Hills state maintenance worker clearing fallen trees from the road back in March when disaster struck.
You okay? Hey!
Poley's foot is stuck on the gas, pushing the tree branch against his neck.
Bill!
Before the officer can turn off the machine, the branch, about 6 to 8 inches in diameter, is slowly moving Poley's skull off his spine.
Trevor, I need you here now with the chainsaw.
If it didn't stop, it probably would have ripped my head off.
The tree branch was acting like a guillotine.
I don't know what to do. I can't get it off of him.
Poley told us at the time he remembers a
pop or a crack or something like that, and I had a decapitation.
He told us as he sat in the seat of that front loader, he could think of one thing.
I'd start thinking of my children because
this father was about to lose his world.
It was really nice being with Dad. I just thought how much I was gonna miss them, miss my babies.
Med bag?
Because resource officers carried trauma kits, that neck brace would keep Phil's neck from moving. It would help save his life. Other crews worked to saw the giant branch off Poley's chest.
Yeah, he's breathing.
With an ambulance 20 minutes away and a medical helicopter unable to fly because of weather, co-workers at the scene kept him alive until emergency crews arrived and later intubated him to keep him breathing, another life-saving strategy.
Had you been working by yourself, where do you think you'd be today?
Oh, well, I'd probably be dead.
Enter Dr. Victor Awar, an Ohio Health neurosurgeon at Grant Hospital.
He had what's an internal decapitation. It is separation of the skull from the spine.
X-rays show the hardware needed to affix Poley's skull back to his spine.
We put a plate and screws at his skull to anchor that down, and then put screws at C2, C3, C4, and then attached it with the rod.
Dr. Awar says when Poley arrived, the space between his spine and skull measured 9 millimeters.
This is supposed to only be 2 millimeters wide from here to here. It's 9 millimeters wide.
He told us had his neck moved a millimeter more, paralysis was certain from the neck down.
We're talking
that he could have died?
2 millimeters. If he moved that much more, he would have probably severed his spinal cord.
That's why seeing him walk when we met him less than a month after his accident is extraordinary. Dr. Awar says this kind of injury isn't uncommon, but surviving is.
About 50% of patients who have this kind of injury die at the scene. So of the 50% that make it to the hospital, a significant number of those patients are paralyzed.
What would you like to say to your surgeon?
Good job. Nailed it.
Poley says he's eager to finish rehab and get back to the state park with his team. He hopes his brush with death will inspire others to remember how fragile life can be.
Love deeply and have grace with people and be patient, be kind. Tomorrow is not guaranteed.
Kevin Landers, 10 TV News.
Kevin,
Still can't
emotional.
believe, this hasn't been that long ago, and he's made a miraculous recovery.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's speaking,
speaking, walking.
Yeah. I think the doctors, the surgeon was obviously amazing. Dr. Onwald has done these kinds of surgeries before. Grant is a level 1 trauma center, the busiest hospital in the state of Ohio. They see all kinds of injuries. Thank God he was there. This surgeon knew exactly what to do, how to get him not only to walk, but his life was hanging in the balance as he was arriving at the hospital. And it's just an amazing story about perseverance.
Right. And that everybody just happened to be where they needed to be that day.
Right. And, you know, the fact I thought that these resource officers had trauma kits with them, they were experienced. They knew what to do. Yes, they were panicking. You could hear him say, I don't know what to do. I can't get this tree off of him, right? Ugh. But they went into action. Their training kicked in. The emergency crews there that intubated him, that kept him breathing. You know, a lot of things could have gone so wrong, but everything came together on that day. And now he's going to be a father. He's going to be able to see his kids. He's home now, which is great.
Oh, great.
He's home now. And he's such a grateful person. It was so nice to talk to him, and you could just tell how appreciative he was.
Yeah.
What other challenges does he have ahead of him still with this recovery?
Well, I think he's going to have several challenges. You know, obviously a surgery like that, there could always be complications afterwards. But, you know, he's walking without assistance, which shows that his youth and his health played a big role in his recovery. And the doctors make a point about that when we talk to them. The fact that he was so young, that he was in good health, his recovery is probably going to be one that he'll be able to walk again without any kind of complication, I don't think. But still, you know, it was a major, major surgery.
Yeah.
He already wants to get back out to work.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
He loves his job.
Wow.
He loves his team. He loves everything about it. I mean, obviously, he loves his kids and his fiance, but he just has such a great spirit about him. And I think that also played a role.
That helps in recovery.
Yeah.
You know.
And just, his children cheering for him and his family,
Yeah.
you know?
You know, and you think about how grateful we are to have, you know, good medics, good surgeons in our community, all those things, you know. When this guy's life is in the balance, all those things came together, and I just think that we're so grateful to have people like that in our lives that can respond quickly and help us. And you know, Dr. Anwar did such a fantastic job, and all the you know, even the emergency responders had, you know, they were really up against it because they're one of the things about our story is that right now the state of Ohio is looking at response times in state parks. And Hocking County has the longest response time from dispatch to actually receiving patients is about 17-20 minutes. And they're looking at trying to reduce that. So when you go to a state park, you have a heart attack, you have what have you, you know, you're at risk. And time is of the essence. And in a case like this, you know, luckily that he was on the right side.
Right. And I mean, especially, you know, growing up in an incredibly rural area where a hospital like Grant is 2 hours away. I mean,
wow.
And you look at that, they had ambulance instead of helicopter.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at an hour on the road there.
Right.
So that does speak to the training of, you know, rural medics,
right,
to having to do a lot of things that to be able to make that.
But they got to figure out the response times, because that 20 minutes with a tree on your neck is too long.
Yeah, and
he was what the doctors say, 2 millimeters away from death.
Yeah, 50% of the people die on the way to the hospital from an injury like that. And so, you know, right now, the state parks don't have 24/7 coverage. They have to rely on the local law enforcement to help pick up that slack. And they're looking at that. Under Governor DeWine, they have increased the number of resource officers in state parks, but they know they need to do more, and they're taking a look at that. And we hope to have something fairly soon from ODNR about how they're going to try to reduce response times in state parks.
Yeah.
But in this case, you know, all fingers crossed, it all worked out, and we're so glad to share this story. We hope other people will be moved to see it as well.
Yeah.
I hope you follow up with him.
Yes.
I can't wait for that story.
Yes.
I want to see the progress he
Yeah,
makes.
absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Kevin, thanks.
Welcome back to The Big Picture. Meteorologist Meredith Garfalo here with us.
Hi, guys. How's everybody today?
We are doing good. It's Tuesday. We're just making our way through the week.
It's great. And you know, there's so many exciting things happening with the weather that we're going to talk about, but I got another really exciting interview for us.
Yeah, talk to us about Firefly and how this relates back to Columbus and why it matters here in Ohio.
You might have remembered in 2025, we had a commercial company land on the moon and do a little exploration. It was called, actually, I think I was on the air with you that weekend. It's called Blue Ghost. That was from Firefly Aerospace. But the cool thing is, the founder of the company, not only is he from Ohio, he went to the Ohio State University and he shared his story and how Ohio played a role inspiring him to keep his company and to get it going.
All right, take a listen.
There has been so much excitement surrounding the moon since the Artemis mission, but you know, there's a lot of other companies, private companies, that are also going to the moon to do some great things. And I am so excited to introduce you to Tom Markusik. He is the founder of Firefly Aerospace. Tom, we're so glad to have you with us.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
So let's get right to it and talk about how you were the first commercial lunar lander on the moon with Blue Ghost back in 2025. How awesome was that feeling when you accomplished that? And what made you want to go to the moon to explore like this?
Yeah, so NASA created a program called Commercial Lunar Payload Services, which enabled small companies like ours to participate in the overall NASA mission to go to the moon. So that was a great opportunity for the company. And then to have actually pulled it off, it seemed very surreal, honestly. When you build these types of things, you do a lot of testing. So this sort of seemed like another test until you realize that, oh, this wasn't a test, this was the real thing. So yeah, definitely a landmark in my lifetime for sure.
And mine too. I remember watching it and cheering you on from our studios here. But an exciting fact about you, Tom, is you're actually in Ohio and you have some roots that are based here in Northeast Ohio.
Yeah, I'm from Northeast Ohio. I went to the Ohio State University for my undergraduate, and Ohio is just a great place to grow up. There obviously an incredible heritage in aviation and aerospace, but great training at Ohio State, and the whole industrial background of Ohio. It all kind of comes together to be a great place to grow up and go off and do these sorts of things.
So what was it that made you want to go into space exploration?
My parents bought me a little model rocket in 5th grade, and I launched that, and it just was very shocking to me, and I think it triggered something in my mind. And we also went to the Air Force Museum in Dayton at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and I saw an airplane called an XB-70 Valkyrie, a bomber from the 1960s, and it was like unlike anything in my little farm boy experience in Northeast Ohio I'd ever seen, and it just triggered something in me to think, wow, there's really something bigger going on in this world, and I think that planted the seed.
So why Firefly Aerospace? Did you like fireflies? Did you think it sounds like a nice mix between Earth and space?
Well, when I decided to start a company, I had to have a name, and I was laying on my back porch in California looking up at the sky. And I just had this image of someday when we're going to Mars, it'll be sort of like when the pioneers went out west. There'd be all these Conestoga wagons, except they'd be up in space. And except for a horse whinnying and them rolling off, there'd be all these little rocket engines lighting up as they all just left together to go to Mars. And I thought, wow, it's going to sort of look like fireflies in the sky when they leave. And I was like, oh, Firefly. Flying on Fire is really kind of a cool name for a rocket company, so that's where it set in.
So for those who may not be familiar with what Firefly does, can you explain a little bit better?
So Firefly is a spacecraft and rocket company, which basically means that Firefly has a solution for getting you off of the Earth to space, allowing you to maneuver around in space or even land on remote destinations like the Moon or Mars.
And what do you hope to accomplish? I mean, you already had some big strides made in 2025, as we talked about. What's next?
Firefly is going to continue to grow in the complexity of the type of missions they do in all of those areas. They're building bigger rockets, they're building more capable lunar landers, and they're building new platforms to do things in space. For example, space defense, which is becoming a big thing. Me personally, I'm I like starting companies. So part-time at Firefly now, but I'm full-time starting a new company called Frontera. And what Frontera is going to do is develop an airplane that can go to space. So no more tubular rockets, but take off from a runway, go to space, go to orbit, and land on a runway, go anywhere in the world in less than an hour type of thing. That's my next sort of magnum opus project.
Okay, you're going to have to call me for that because that seems pretty cool. And I love flying as well. Tom, tell me, what do you hope what you're doing with Firefly and then with your new ventures? What is this going to do for more the commercial companies versus the private, we go private sector, public sector. What do you hope you're going to be accomplishing for other companies out there?
Well, Firefly and Frontera, we're really part of what's called a new space. It's a movement to dramatically lower the cost and increase the frequency of access to space. Now, this was really pioneered by SpaceX, and I was very fortunate to be an early employee at SpaceX to sort of get on the new space wave. But ultimately, we're businesses, so we intend to make money, obviously, but more broadly for humanity, we're going to open up access to space and make it a place where people can live and work and gather resources to do great things here on Earth as well.
That's so wonderful. Tom, is there anything else that you want to share that maybe some fun facts or that you think people might be interested in knowing about the kind of work that you're doing or the work that's happening right now to take us to places we've never seen before?
Yeah, I would suggest that everyone who's watching this sit back and think of, in all the history of humanity, we have been born at a time when people will first touch other planets. People will walk on other planets. So it's pretty extraordinary to think of all the thousands and tens of thousands of years of history that all of us were born and are going to see humans walking on Mars in the very near future.
I love that. Tom Markusik, the founder of Firefly Aerospace, thank you so much for joining us and good luck with your ventures. We look forward to seeing where you take your rockets next.
You're welcome. Bye.
Awesome, Meredith. That was interesting. He wants to make planes go to space instead of just going up. Interesting.
I mean, the mind is just genius in these ideas, and to think, there's a lot of students at Ohio State, I'm sure, that are going to hear his story and want to go into something similar. So it's just a cycle of supporting each other.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about tomorrow because the weather team's issued an impact alert day. Why?
We are. It's going to be, the same thing we see some mornings: heavy rain and storms during the commute. Now, if it's before like it was this morning, it gives you time for things to start to get better. But tomorrow, unfortunately, it is going to be starting up about 5-6 o'clock and going all the way until 9. And so expect delays. We always see traffic troubles when we have this, but it is rain and storms, not looking to be severe storms, which is good. Just more of a hassle for you trying to get to work and get the kids off to school tomorrow.
Yeah, and I know, like last night I was listening to Chris and his forecast, and he was talking about, because we've had all of these crazy storms out in Illinois, Missouri, Iowa, Oklahoma, and how he was like, they've got all of these ingredients there right now that we don't have, and that's keeping us from seeing them blow up.
Yeah, and the timing's everything too. During the daytime, you have the heating, and that helps add that fuel to storms. And a lot of these are coming closer to sunset, so you start to lose that energy. And once you get overnight, unless you've got some strong forcing from a front or a storm system, I mean, you're really not going to have the dynamics unless they're already set in place. So fingers crossed we keep staying lucky.
And this is still severe weather season, correct?
Oh, yes.
We're in the thick of it.
Spring into summer and even into fall now, as long as it stays warm and we have all the ingredients coming together. And as we're seeing, as our climate's been shifting to more warmer months and setting records for heat, that's something that's going to be of a concern.
We just had Jerome Township on talking about how they just got a new, they got approved for a new tornado siren because they're growing so rapidly with their residential population. They got to keep everyone safe.
I love tornado sirens, but I do want to caution not to rely on that alone because there are times, sometimes if you're in your basement or something, you may not hear it. So that's why we always like to say NOAA weather radio is a good backup, or your phone to have some way to get alerts. And now with a lot of the satellite internet services, I think that's going to help a lot of people get our alerts when they come in.
Okay. Meredith, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Well, tune in tomorrow morning for your forecast when you're driving into work or going to school. Let's see if the rain wakes me up again or not.
I hope it just puts us to sleep. I know. She's so lucky.
I know. I was telling Collin, I just pulled out of the garage this morning. I go, oh, it's raining.
Yeah, it woke me up a couple times of everything, just blowing around and beating on the windows, and you're just like, oh.
But it's so good to fall asleep when it's actually dark.
That is my favorite way to fall
something.
asleep.
Yeah.
Is when the
It made
rain
it a lot
is
easier
falling.
because it was when I lay down at 7:30, I was like, oh, it
was like pit, and you're like, oh.
Yeah,
this
and it
is
wasn't just
nice.
like full daylight.
That's
outside.
the worst.
Yeah.
Even with curtains, I feel like you just know your body knows it's
I've
sunny.
got the blackout curtains and
You
they're
got them
binder
now?
clipped together.
Oh, you're intense.
Because I'm like,
Yay.
nope, I don't want the light. So I'm like, they're binder clipped at the seam.
That is a good idea because you always get that space unless you buy the one that goes across, but I can never measure correctly.
No, I'm with you. All right, guys. Well, that does it for us today on The Big Picture. We'll be back tomorrow at 9 a.m.
See you then.
Bye.